Hey there, you're about to hear what pilots actually do during takeoff. And let me be clear, this isn't as automated as you might think. Have you ever looked out the window at an airplane accelerating down the runway, wondering who's really in control? Maybe even thinking, well, it's just a big robot or something, right? Let's dive into what those pilots are really doing. The plane starts moving slowly but steadily, and as it picks up speed, you might feel that familiar jolt. But beneath all that automation, there's a lot of human judgment going on. Pilots aren't just pressing buttons. They're making decisions based on the plane's performance and conditions out the window. And here's the surprising part. Even though takeoff seems so routine, it can actually be incredibly complex. The pilots are constantly monitoring things like airspeed, altitude, engine performance, and weather conditions to ensure that everything is just right. They're like real-life video game masters, navigating a giant flying machine through the complexities of the runway. So, next time you're on the tarmac, remember, there's more to takeoff than meets the eye. And for those nervous flyers out there, rest assured, pilots are trained to handle every situation with skill and care. So, let's take care of that big question. What do pilots actually do during takeoff? Let's dive into how they prepare for it. Before the plane even starts moving, pilots go through a meticulous checklist to ensure everything is functioning correctly. It's like when you're about to drive somewhere important, checking your mirrors and seatbelt before hitting the road. First things first, the cockpit is bustling with activity as both pilots sit down, each taking their designated position. The pilot in command, or PIC, usually sits on the left side of the plane, while the co-pilot takes the right. They switch places frequently to share the workload and stay sharp. Then comes a step that might surprise you. They perform a pre-flight checklist. This is not just a formality. It's a crucial part of ensuring the plane's systems are in top shape. The PIC starts by checking the engines. They need to be running smoothly, producing the right amount of thrust. It's like your car engine idling at the stoplight before you start driving. Next, they check the flight controls, the rudder, elevators, and ailerons. These control surfaces work together with the engines to give the plane all its movement commands in the air. Imagine these as the steering wheel, gas pedal, and brake of your car. Pilots make sure everything is responding properly. They also double-check the instruments, like the altimeter, which measures altitude, and the airspeed indicator, showing how fast they're going. These are like the speedometer and odometer in your car, telling them where they are and how fast they're going. The communication systems get a thorough check as well. Pilots need to be able to talk to air traffic control and their crew. It's crucial for clear communications, just like you might use a phone app to call someone before driving somewhere important. Finally, the emergency equipment is verified. Fire extinguishers, oxygen masks, and life vests are all accounted for. This step is about ensuring they can handle any unexpected situations, much like making sure your car has a spare tire. And here's the surprising part. After all these checks, pilots also conduct a cross-check with each other to confirm everything looks good from both perspectives. It's like when you and a friend double-check that you've packed everything for a trip. Both are confirming nothing is missed. So, before a single wheel moves off the ground during takeoff, the pilots have done all of these steps. They're just making sure everything works perfectly to give you a safe ride into the sky. And here's the surprising part. During takeoff, pilots do use automated systems like autopilot and auto-throttle, but not in the way you might think. These systems are more like highly advanced co-pilots, assisting with specific tasks while the pilots remain fully engaged and in command. Imagine you're driving a car up a hill. You're totally in control, steering and accelerating as needed. But let's say your cruise control is working well. It can help by keeping the speed steady, letting you focus on navigating the road. That's kind of like how autopilot works during takeoff. First, the autopilot system helps with stabilizing the plane after it starts rolling down the runway. Once the wheels leave the ground and the plane is in a climb, the autopilot can handle some of the more routine aspects of flight. It keeps the airplane on its intended path and altitude, just like cruise control holds your car at a steady speed. But here's the key part. Pilots are still very much in charge. They monitor all critical systems, keep an eye on their instruments, and make any necessary adjustments. The autopilot is there to support them, not replace them. For example, if the plane encounters turbulence or needs to make a slight course correction, it's the pilot who makes those decisions. And here's another surprising part. During takeoff, the auto throttle can really help with managing the thrust and speed. It's like having an assistant in the cockpit who keeps the acceleration steady, so you don't have to worry about it as much. This allows the pilots to focus on other important things, like navigating the runway or checking that everything is running smoothly. So while automated systems are certainly present during takeoff, they're not magic. Pilots still need their hands and minds on the controls. The autopilot and auto throttle work in tandem with the human crew, making sure the plane gets off the ground safely and efficiently. All right, so you might be thinking, what exactly are pilots doing during takeoff? Are they just pressing buttons and sitting back? Not quite. Pilots have a lot on their plate, and I mean that in the best way possible. Imagine you're at a concert. The conductor stands at the front of the orchestra, watching every musician, making sure everyone's playing in perfect harmony. That's kind of what pilots do during takeoff. They're constantly monitoring everything happening around them and making small adjustments as needed to ensure everything works smoothly. First off, they're always keeping an eye on the instruments in front of them. It's like checking that every musician is on track. These instruments show things like speed, altitude, and engine performance. Basically, everything that could affect how well the plane flies. If there's a small issue, like maybe slightly higher than normal fuel consumption, they'll make tiny adjustments to compensate. And here's the surprising part. They're not just watching gauges. They're also paying close attention to what's happening outside. Pilots have an amazing view from the cockpit, and they use that to their advantage. They keep an eye on the runway, making sure everything looks good, like a clear path line with lights or markers. Now, imagine you're driving a car down a long road. You don't just rev your engine. You adjust the speed based on what's around you. It's the same for pilots. They might need to ease up on the throttle if they notice a slight shift in wind direction. And sometimes, they'll even communicate with air traffic control to ask for any last-minute adjustments. So, during takeoff, it's like having an orchestra conductor who's not only monitoring every musician, but also ensuring everything is playing together perfectly. They're constantly checking and adjusting, making sure the plane stays on track and everything works as it should. Okay, so we've talked about all the fancy technology and automated systems that help with takeoffs. But let's not forget, the human factor is what really makes it safe. Now, you might be wondering, if everything is so automated, why do pilots even need to be there? Well, here's the truth. Automation plays a crucial role, but it's the pilots who are the true guardians of safety. Imagine you're driving a car. You have all these fancy cruise control systems that can keep your speed constant, but what if you hit a patch of ice? You still need to be ready to steer and brake, right? It's the same with planes. Automation handles a lot, like maintaining altitude and speed, but pilots are there to handle those unexpected situations. And believe it or not, there's this incredible moment when the pilots take over from the automated systems as we start our final descent before landing. It's like they're passing the baton to their human expertise. They use all their training and experience to ensure that everything goes smoothly, even if something does go wrong. Here's the surprising part. Split-second decisions can make all the difference. Let's say there's a sudden gust of wind or a small technical issue. The pilots are trained to handle these in seconds, adjusting the plane's controls and making sure everyone is safe. It might sound like a big deal, but it's actually incredibly routine. They practice this stuff so much that they can do it almost instinctively. So why does this all matter? Well, knowing that there are trained professionals at the controls gives you a sense of security. They've spent years in training and simulator sessions to be prepared for every possible scenario. And when everything works exactly as planned, which is incredibly rare, those pilots are still there to double-check and ensure nothing gets missed. In short, while automation does most of the heavy lifting during takeoffs, it's the human touch that adds an extra layer of safety. It's a bit like having both your cruise control and your own set of brakes on hand, just in case. And that's incredibly reassuring for all of us flying on those planes. So, to answer our original question, pilots are very much in control during takeoff. It's a bit like driving a car in heavy traffic. There's a lot going on, but the driver or pilot is always at the wheel. First off, before even getting to the runway, pilots carefully check their pre-takeoff checklist. This is kind of like double-checking your GPS and mirrors before you start driving down the highway. Every detail counts. Fuel levels, weather conditions, even the state of the landing gear. Nothing gets left out by a good pilot. Once they're on the runway, pilots use what's called max thrust. Think of it like pressing the accelerator to the floor in your car. The engines kick in with all their might, and that powerful push is what gets the plane moving. The control yoke, similar to steering a large vehicle, helps the pilot steer the plane down the runway. But here's the surprising part. Even though the engines are doing most of the heavy lifting, pilots still have manual controls. They can override any automated system if needed, just like how you might need to emergency brake your car in an unexpected situation. This dual system ensures that no matter what happens, the plane is always under human control. And don't forget about those advanced automated systems. Just like cruise control in car, these systems help keep everything smooth and stable. But they're not the boss, they just assist. The pilots are always ready to step in if anything changes or goes off course. So, back to our original question. During takeoff, pilots are intensely focused on managing all these factors: manual controls, automated systems, and constant communication with air traffic control. It's a coordinated dance of technology and human skill that gets the plane safely into the sky. If you've ever wondered what's really happening in that cockpit, now you know. Pilots are vigilant, well-trained professionals working hard to ensure your safe journey. And if you want to learn more about the fascinating world of aviation, how planes work, why they fly, or just cool facts about travel, be sure to subscribe for new explainers every week.